All right, traders, welcome on back here for another fantastic edition of our Traders Talk Workshop here this Monday, September 22nd. And with that, let me actually get this thing recorded for us inside the live trading room. Anna, Phil, Jeff, Wiz, Chuck, Joyce, all of us just here joining us. Students of ours inside our live trading room. Great to see you here. Great to have us back on social, though. If you're on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, I always say we don't dance for you there, but we're here to educate. Down below, lower left, right below my avatar there, just popping up at Cyber Trading U. That's our handle on social media. If you're new to YouTube, new to X especially, just make sure to hit the follow or subscribe buttons down below. This workshop normally goes for an hour. Producer's note, might have some maintenance people knocking on my door probably halfway through, so might have to cut short. But what I want to do to begin is go over actually something I covered, not even here, but I had the pleasure of being on Bookmap's YouTube channel. So we're not just on YouTube here at Cyber Trading U, but we collaborate with a lot of businesses online, including brokerages and including Bookmap. So we do a lot of great work with them. I was on their platform on Friday. And the reason I bring this to your attention right away out the gate here is because I want you to listen to this, if you can, about 30 seconds to a minute. Point being, well, look at where we are today with Bitcoin. I mean, the market's doing incredible today. Stock market's flying, right? But going into the open today, what the hell happened? Well, Bitcoin was consolidating long enough. This goes to what we always preach to you in our classes, right? If it's not going to make that big move going up, it's going to make a big move, just the opposite direction. And it had one little squeeze here. I had a resistance line I'd called out to our students just from last week. It was pretty much right head on it, like 117.6, 117.5. But point being, that held, splat right back down, and it seems like we're going to come back down towards 100,000. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm led to believe we're going to be going lower, down to 100,000, perhaps even. So that's just where I'll tell you. I'm pretty patient on Bitcoin. I'm going to wait till at least we get there before I unload more, free cash into Bitcoin or the Bitcoin-related tickers. I have a lot of swing trades on the top right of my screen. A lot of our students, Roger, Kathleen, Brad, Michael, Barbara, all of us here live right now. You know that I've been keeping you up to date on all of these positions. In fact, the market's red hot. But that doesn't mean that everything is going to be moving with it. So that's just where I tell you, if we happen to have some sort of correction within the market, if we happen to have a 5 or 8% dip by any stretch of the imagination, well, hey, remember, that's pretty healthy in bull markets. That's not outside the realm of possibility. Should that happen, Bitcoin's going to get crushed because it's already pretty weak in relation to the S&P, in relation to US markets. So that's where you definitely got to be careful. But right now, I want to go over just a couple swing updates for us here briefly. We got some questions that came in via email. We'll get to those just up next. But let's talk about a couple of the swing trades that we've been in already that I've been keeping you up to date on, not just inside our live trading room, but in this very workshop. So the Soon trade, let me just ask, who is still riding the Soon swing trade with us here? Who is riding the Soon swing trade? Because this ended up making a great move off that 1270 level. We had discussed that like a month ago here pretty much, and it's been rocking on up since, but I think that this is just the beginning. We have a big gap on the daily chart back from the beginning of January for this to try and fill, and that's up towards 1798, up towards pretty much $18. So I would love to see Soon at least get up towards that price, if not even higher, as we had theorized. But outside of that, though, just the others, the BBAI stock, that's the politician trade from last week, pretty much just about a week ago. I brought this to your attention. Well, this is well on its way to already filling this gap back from earnings in August. So I'm going to look to at least see that, if not much, much more. If I'm not mistaken already, this stock is reapproaching a pretty good trend line right off the highs here. So let me just show that. Yeah, it's not all the way there yet, but I think that we'll get there in due time. Bumble and dating app. I actually got this from a buddy I follow on social media. Been working out so far. This isn't like the thing I'm most confident about. I just liked the setup, and it's off to a great start. Called it out about 2.5 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, if that. It's up about 17%. But this is the one that I want to go into. It's the one that I was talking a lot about from last week. Something happened even this morning on this position, and I'll discuss that right now. Just let me ask out of curiosity: anyone jump in from the end of last week or this morning on the SMCI? There's 1,005 other stocks out there in the seat, folks. So if you didn't jump in on this one, no sweat. But it is to say, I think this is just the beginning because actually, if you recall the Soon stock, SOUN, nice gap. We've been doing good on a lot of different gaps that we've seen get filled throughout this year. Well, for the SMCI trade, we have a massive gap back from August, around 57 bucks. Thomas, you're still riding out. We've got two Thomases. Excellent. Thomas L, Thomas P, both of you in on the SMCI. So let me just at least go into what happened this morning for me because I took a small loss. I don't care about the loss, but I care about the fact this thing actually popped right back on up immediately after I got out. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, shit, there's no way this is actually going to make this move now without me. I had pretty good conviction about the trade. But guys, there's so many other stocks out there. And when this opened a little down in pre-market, other stocks to try and trade and manage, I'm like, you know what? Let me just jump out on this thing. Probably shouldn't have done that. Just in hindsight, probably shouldn't have done that. All right, well, how did I manage to get back in? Because I'm back in on this trade right as we're talking, and I'm in from a really good level. I'm in from the price pretty much I was trying to get in from to begin with. So let's go over this move. Now, the SMCI, we ended up seeing some good support on this trade right around this 46 level, right around 46 when this was running up here back from May into end of July. So if you happen to see, there's a few good wicks right there, right there, right 1, 2, 3 in a row, probably even 4 counting this guy. But this was great support, and then it moved up much higher. Okay, so with trading, trading is always conditional. You can't always get what you want, right? If the stock doesn't do what you need it to do, then you got to look to adjust. Then you got to look to bail. So the two most powerful words when it comes to trading, doesn't matter if it's day trading, swing trading, whatever trading you want to call it, the two most powerful words are if and then. Meaning, hey, if this stock can hold back over support around 46, well, then I'd be led to believe the stock can make a much better squeeze up. So it was even from like the beginning of last week, I was theorizing this gap fill to you here, at least inside our live trading room. It's just a matter of seeing this try and contain and hold better over the 46 level. I'm actually going to try and go deep into the logs here inside our chat board because I want to flash this call out. I made this post to you just from last week. I told you exactly what I wanted to jump into. I was either from Monday or Tuesday of last week at that, but I just want to mention either way, we are back over 46 right now. I ended up taking a dinky loss. I told you I don't care about that as much. What I care about is the stock moving right back on up after. I'm like, come on. So thankfully, I was patient enough to where I waited for a pullback. And once it pulled back towards this area, well, hey, at least you know what? Not only a matter of just jumping back in. I don't jump back into everything that I take a loss on because I'm not as confident at times about the reentry. Well, this I'm pretty certain of as long as the markets are holding afloat, unless if this company comes out with some horrid, terrible news that none of us could even fathom right now in this workshop. I'd be led to believe that we could see this make at least a partial gap fill to at least see this try and get a quarter of the way there, halfway there, maybe go up to 50, and that's it. Well, hey, if I can get in at 46 and ride it out to even 50, count me in. Right? And then if we can go up even more at that point, then the more the merrier. But just to mention, that's what happened to me this morning on the SMCI trade. Ended up eventually getting back over the 46 level. And then from there, obviously, doing pretty good here. But Just want to bring this up to you. Found it. This was actually from Friday or Thursday, pardon me. This was from Thursday. I said this to you Thursday throughout the day. Looking for a swing trade on SMCI. I went over this thesis even the last week regarding the gap fill. 41 support, 46 resistance. There we go. And that's the position I took a small dinky loss on just this morning. But point being, we've been calling this out to you at least for the last few days. So hopefully now this is just the beginning because it looks really good from the daily chart. Why not have conviction that this can at least try and break above this, move up to 50, if not much more? This was on a beautiful trend back from the end of last year, as well as throughout midway of this year already. So it's not as healthy of a swing trade as like, QBTS. It's not as healthy of a swing trade compared to NVIDIA. Up 2% today. That's having a great day today. The point being is that you don't need to see a stock at all-time highs for the chart to be somewhat healthy. And at least I'm not trying to look for all-time highs. I'm not trying to look for a higher high even at that. This stock technically is still making lower highs since its peak back in March of 24. But if I can get this to fill the gap, that's all I care about, right? In fact, I'll just mention at least, even though I do find the chart to be pretty decent in terms of the recent year, who here remembers with SMCI when their accounting firm, I think it was Ernst Young, they basically said, the hell with you. You guys aren't a reliable, transparent company. We're dipping. Does anyone remember that? SMCI got destroyed. And I'll tell you, I don't like that situation. I don't like this company in terms of like me loving the product, me loving the board. Well, I don't even know who the board is, but it's just to mention I'm not necessarily a fan of their accounting firm just bailing on them. So I just want to point out this is not something I'm holding on to for the rest of the year. This is not something I'm holding on to if it goes below 46. If this 46 level can't hold as support from this point forward, well, what's the other word that we say? If and what? Then. Well, if this can't hold over support at 46, then I'm splitting like a tree. It's as simple as that. So if we can get a good close today and then open up tomorrow nicely, then hey, let's ride it out throughout the remainder of this week. I'd be expecting more of a push. But if this doesn't do what I need it to do, just remember, it's like I didn't necessarily like the company from the end of last year with their whole accounting debacle. So if this gap doesn't get filled, I'm not tied to this thing. I don't have some big rooting interest in this company. I'll just move on to the next thing. This is just another opportunity, just another stock. That's where even earlier, I actually dipped on the SMCI trade when I took that dinky loss right before it took off without me. Shit. I said, all right, well, you know what? Let's try and focus on other trades, some other stocks that I could put my money into. And I guess I could say, like, fortunately, that worked out earlier today. The UEC I'm in on right now from 1220, it's up about 8% already from where I got in. It's up about 6.6% on the day. This thing is flying right now. Holy shit. All right, so let's just talk about this move while we're at it. I mean, but the point of showing this was just to tell you that when I got out this morning on SMCI originally at first at the open, I said, all right, well, let's have my money work for me elsewhere. What other trades could I put it into? And between RCAT and UEC, now I'm back in on the SMCI, but point being here, this stock is trending up beautifully. So this is a much healthier chart compared to the SMCI, isn't it? The RCAT trade, this is a hell of a lot healthier of a chart compared to the SMCI. Don't believe me? Just do a zoom out, right? Look at that trend from the beginning of 24 to now compared to RCAT. Obviously, it fell off back from the end of last year, but moved back up, holding near the, these wicks in the last week or two. So those are charts that I find much healthier even compared to the SMCI, and I'd much prefer to trade. I think this came up in a conversation that we had. This was, I believe, in class, and if it wasn't in class, I yap way too long in a lot of different places. I forgot where exactly I said this, but it's Fausto's line. He says it all the time. He got it from Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are, correct? So, that's where I brought up, oh, actually, this was in the Book Map Workshop. For Chuck, Anna, Lynn, and Randy, Albert, Kevin, maybe, Bill, whoever. Do you guys remember the PRTS stock? I called this out like a couple weeks ago. Said I think there's a chance this could be a good swing trade over time, but it needs to hold support, move up higher, do what we need it to do, right? Yeah, I mean, didn't work out. Well, why did it not work out? It's because this is not the healthiest graph. I had a thought, I had speculation that, all right, well, we have support holding again here. Maybe this can make a fraction of the type of movement made back in '09 or made back in 13 or made back in 19. But this is not the healthiest chart. This is actually a very unhealthy chart. So, am I going to put equal, if not more, trust in this compared to UEC? Am I going to put equal, if not more, trust in that PRTS trade than I would even in SMCI? Hell no. That's the thing. That's where you have to focus on stocks that are historically trending up better. They don't need to be at all-time highs. They just need to be historically making higher lows and ideally making a higher high, but otherwise setting up for one, right? Uh, so just want to bring up, listen, there's always going to be losing trades, but you got to realize when it's not working out so you could bail out ahead of time. I got out on this trade right at 90 cents. Came down. I felt great, but otherwise it was pulling back the next candle. It's like, this isn't holding support. Let's look back long term. Is this a healthy company? Not really. So that's it. Now, granted, you could have large drops, large pullbacks, reversals on very healthy companies too, but typically those stocks are going to hold their levels a lot better, right? Unless if there's some horrid news that comes out that we're either not expecting, or if we are, then we'll have to make adjustments. But seems like this is a pretty healthy company long term, and there's some extremely good news with this company and the sector that this company is in with uranium and nuclear. So that's where you should feel, in turn, a lot more confident, a lot stronger about your conviction. So at least for UBC right now, you got 20,000 share seller out here on the ask. I'm just going to move this up here. See my positions now, but 1325, you got about 20,000 shares sitting out there on the ask. And what do you know? That's the all-time high. That's the all-time high here on UEC, $13.25. So actually, let me just go back to make sure. I'm pretty certain of that. Yeah, I mean, I just went back at least to 2006. If I have to go back any more, then my apologies. But at least according to my screens here, all-time highs, right? So at least for right now, if it could blast over 1325, blast over that all-time high, and blast over this 22,000 share seller, I would be led to believe we're going to see a much cleaner move for this afternoon. Oh, I don't even have this up on my book map here right now. I'll just pull this back up here for us. Ooh, look at this. This is essentially a ladder, not on the buy side, though. Not on the buy side. So it's a little bit different how we treat this. But this order that was originally at 1350, about 38,000 shares out there on the sell side. Well, they ended up just moving their order up. They moved their order up to 14. So I was teaching this more in our intermediate course earlier today in phase 2, just talking about spoofing, and it's actually illegal to spoof, meaning to place an order out there 100% with the intent of it being fake, 100% from the person's side of it being a fake order that they're not trying to actually get filled. Point being is that spoofing is like very difficult to actually convict people of. We're human beings, so if we innocently want to pull our order from the book, we could do that. Hey, if I had the 38,000 shares here and I sit there and I say, you know what? I don't know if I want to sell it just yet. You know what? Let me cancel this order. That's not spoofing. That's just being a human being changing your mind. We're in a free world, right? But this is where you could say, though, at the minimum, well, they just moved their order up. They just moved their order up. That's all they did. They said, you know what, maybe I could squeeze out an extra 45, 50 cents out of this trade and have it go up to 14 instead of 13.50. That's all I'm interpreting this as. Does that mean it's gonna move up to 14 bucks now? No. But when I read this, I sit here and I say, well, yeah, that seller moved their order up. So now at this point, looks like we have a new all-time high. UBC just broke new all-time high now, broke above the high from last week, that 1325. All right, we'll come back to this. We're going to take a look and see what this does here in the coming moments. Quick shout out, Walter. Hope that you're situated at this point. I know you had a little issue just with logging into our trading room. And again, for any of our members here, if you ever have issues logging into our live trading room, especially if you're on the social media side of things as well, if you're not able to join our live trading room, if there's any technical mishap there, just give a call to our office right here down below, 516-280-5350. And then one of our staff members will look to help you out there, Walter. But hope you're enjoying your time either way. Hope you got inside the live trading room. But what we'll do now is go over a couple emails that came in just from the weekend, coming in from today at least. And then we'll look to possibly go over a couple other trades in the process. All right, so this actually could be a little quick one here, briefly, just more TradeStation specific. My platform here is TradeStation. You don't need to have TradeStation to do what we do. You could have interactive brokers, Fidelity, Thinkorswim, of course. I just show TradeStation. Teach their own as long as you have the right tools and you have proper order execution. No delays in getting your order filled. Now, one of our new members, Nabil, was asking, "Hey, can you show me how to add the volume bars on TradeStation to my platform like yours?" Absolutely. So first and foremost, you need to go actually directly to our website, Nabil. When you go to the Cyber Trading University website, we actually offer specific templates, indicator files just for TradeStation. But when you go right here onto our website, point being, I'm going to show you where to find the indicator download section. Click the download tab on the student portal. And then right here, look at this. You actually have different files, including indicators and instructions as well. This is a very outdated video I need to redo likely, but otherwise, you have the instructions right there. You have the files. So that will show you exactly how to install the volume bars. It comes with a Word document with instructions. What you do is basically just go to File on the top left, and you'll import the file. And all you do once you actually import the file, this is all in the directions I provide, but you right click, you go to Studies, you go to Add Study. And if you import the indicator properly, it should come up right here, CTU volume up/down. And there we go. Now, if you do have any follow-up questions on that, Nabil, just message me inside the trading room here. I'll help you out easily. Second question from Nabil, though, this came in earlier at least. How do you know on TradeStation if a stock has had a recent split, like a reverse stock split or a forward stock split? How can you determine that? So here's a shortcut way to tell if a stock has had reverse stock splits happen to them. Uh, Later, you'll crack up at this right now, probably. It's just the first thing on my head. I don't know why. But I go over to this stock, TOPS, TOPS. When I zoom out on the long-term graph, Nabil, this stock was not $2.5, $3.5 million per share back in 2017. This was not $3,834,855 per share. So this is just a quick way to say, all right, what this chart is doing is it's factoring in the reverse stock splits over time. When did they happen? What was the ratio? Was it 1 for 100, 1 for 10, whatever it is? That is not shown here, but this is just a shortcut way to say, oh, this stock has definitely had a lot of reverse splits over its tenure, over its time. That is actually what we focus on quite a bit here inside our live trading room. I just want to point that out. So even this morning, just pointing out here, ARBE. Okay, this is a stock that looks like it went from like 10 bucks, 16 bucks ish back in 2021, all the way down to like practically below $1. I can't tell for certain if this company has had a real split or not by looking at this graph. It's 100% possible that this could have just tanked as is without a split. We see this happen with IPOs all the time. Now, though, let's keep just going through. Let's kind of zip through a couple of different trades here. Just we'll try and see. Okay. Well, the stock Box L, granted, was like $300, $600 allegedly in 2018. That seems a little more far-fetched of a drop, right? Seems a little bit more not realistic, really. It feels like that could have had some reverse stock splits factored into it. Now, I'm sure that you can go on to like Yahoo Finance. I'm sure that you can even go on Bloomberg. This is where, folks, I just want to point this out. I love this now because this is where you don't need to be the know-it-all, right? You just got to know the source that knows it all. So let's just ask our good old friend Chat GPT here, and that's going to give you a pretty good answer. So what was the one tops? What were the most or the three most recent reverse? Can't type for the life of me. Stock splits for the stock tops. Tell me the date and the split. One for 10, one for 100, etc. Oh, no way. Oh, you know what this could do? Hold on, give me a sec. Give me a second here. I got to log in probably. So what they do with Chat GPT is, you got to pay like the 20 a month, get the real membership, and it'll do all the digging and the research in there for you. So I might need to even re-ask that same question just in a moment. Oh, I hope I don't have egg on my face here. Give me three most recent reverse stock splits for tops. Date and the split itself. Now, if it can't research it here, then I would just use like Gemini. I would use Perplexity. There we go. So ChatGPT, now it researched it. It went online, did the dig in there for us. So I'm just pointing out, Nabil, you can just ask ChatGPT, right? You got to pay like the premium membership so it could like research online, go through like internet sources. But otherwise, this is just a very quick way for you to use that. You know what? How about what was that other one right there? Box L. What was that other one right there? Box L right here. That's the one that was like 600 whatever dollars. Let's just find out, right? What about Box L? It will just do the same research for this ticker right now too. There we go. February of this year did a 1 for 5. Then back in 23 they did a 1 for 8. Simple as that. All right, from Uday asking, do you have Thinkorswim typical day T set up as you have for TradeStation? We don't have indicator or template files that we give to students, Uday, but pretty much as long as the Thinkorswim platform is giving you the same programs that we have here on TradeStation, simply put a chart, simply put some scanners. Now, in replacement of the matrix here, which is what I nickname level 3 for us, well, at least on Thinkorswim, you got book maps, so that is what you're going to be using. But as long as you have just the right tools, the right programs, you could have your platform set up in a different manner, different programs on different parts of the screen, as long as you're comfortable using it. Now, keep in mind that when we have our full execution system and we're trading, like showing all the programs on our platform, part of our platform setup is making sure that your eyes are not wandering all over the screen when they could be more concentrated in a fixed area. So that's where I'll mention, like, if I have my level 2 screen or my level 2 program, it's oftentimes right next to my level 3. Why? Because I need to put more of a concentration, like my eyeballs need to concentrate more on level 3 to interpret these icebergs. So if I have my order bar relatively close to my level 3, in theory, it should require a little less effort for me to move my eyes around, set my order up, etc., etc. If I had my order bar on the top left or on the lower, it just requires a little extra concentration drag. Uh, Obviously, you could talk about hotkeys. There's a lot of ways to kind of discuss this topic, but point being is that um, the key with a platform is just having the right tools, the right programs, but then otherwise just making sure that your eyes aren't all over the place. All right, Umit, great to see you as always from Turkey. Good afternoon, slightly good evening to you right there. Always great to have you here on YouTube, Umit. Now with that, I'll tell you. I mean, I'm going to wrap up here in a few moments here, folks. Again, I got some maintenance people knocking on my door in the coming moments. Let's go over Tesla before we finish because I went over this briefly in our work in our class in our phase 2 stock course. So I'm not going to go through the same motions. You got to be a student if you want the good stuff. No, but seriously, point being right now is that reversal time at 10:30. Oh, look what happened exactly at 10:30 in the morning. Now, though, it's not to say that that was it, but where we were discussing in class, we were pretty much saying that we needed to see support hold, and the more support keeps getting poked at, poked at, poked at, poked. Well, unless if this buyer was moving up, unless if the buying pressure was ramping up, it would lead me to believe that this will eventually pull back towards this order, right? So we're getting pretty close. We're right back down towards 435. We're right back down towards where we did have some resistance here, 436. And this already held once. So it's just to mention that now, if you're looking at Tesla as an afternoon trade for today, for tomorrow, perhaps here, ideally you need to see this hold over 436 to 435 combined as support. But with that in mind, Tesla squeezed up so much from the last few days, so it wouldn't shock me if this trend continues and breaks below support. How are the markets looking right now? Oh, geez. The markets are flying. Oh, my God. This is awesome. All right. Well, as great as the markets are moving, clearly Tesla's not doing that. So something's got to give. Either this is going to hold as support and this bounces right back on up, or if the markets pull back, should the markets pull back in the event that they do, then Tesla's likely going to slice right through this thing like a hot knife through butter, right? So just got to keep that in mind. But as of right now, it's not too surprising that this move is happening. I would say the surprising part is just that the markets are ripping right now, and this isn't really going as much with it. Yeah, Sam, we're looking good. We are looking real good on SMCI. Um, Easy to say that with this pot, but we were looking good off the push from here as we started Traders Talk. But this is where I mentioned, right? Like, hey, there's a reason that we made this call out 2 weeks ago, it even was. Last week, I was kind of commenting on it once more. But again, that's where I brought up just from Friday. I was saying, we went over this last week there, I even said. So this has been on my mind for a little bit. Bill says NVIDIA and OpenAI just had an announcement after Traders Talk started. Ooh, that's interesting. Well, that could help out the tech sector, and obviously including SMCI, perhaps. That's my bird brain thinking there. But otherwise, let's see. NVIDIA. Oh shit. That's a lot of money. that's a lot of zeros next to the word that starts with B. $100 billion investment into OpenAI. Now, OpenAI is a private company. They're not publicly traded, guys. That is not AI. This is not OpenAI. OpenAI is literally ChatGPT, private company. So the way that this works is that typically NVIDIA wouldn't be popping as well since they're the ones making the purchase, so to say, slash investment. But obviously, since there's nothing really that's public that's tied to OpenAI, NVIDIA definitely is getting the rub. But perhaps this could lead to a lot of the other AI companies moving nicely. Oracle's already been as healthy as can be. That's up 5%. Apple, was having a great day today, had a great morning. Just this isn't doing that great now. SMCI is flying right now. Holy smoke. So I don't know if SMCI is going to benefit from this NVIDIA deal. I wasn't expecting them to per se. If they are, then that certainly ramps up the thought process behind this gap getting filled. That's for damn sure. So I feel great about this move. That's all I could tell you. When OpenAI goes public, NVIDIA will get the benefit. Well, in that case, yeah. But the question is, there's been no information made about OpenAI going public yet, though. Yeah, there's no news about that at least yet. That's come across my radar. So maybe soon enough, Albert. Maybe soon enough. But folks, we're going to wrap up here in just a bit. Let me know if you have any last questions or thoughts, any feedback, at least from this workshop, just before we finish. Again, if you're on social media, make sure that you do yourself the favor of following us on social media on YouTube and on well Facebook, TikTok as well, but specifically on YouTube and on X, Twitter known as at Cyber Trading U right down below. Now, otherwise though, we're posting all throughout the day there. We're posting inside our live trading room. So this is just a matter of saying you got to be in it to win it. So if you're not fully convinced yet to join us inside our live trading room, we just strongly suggest for you to stay on board with us on social media. This is a post that I made back a few days ago myself. This is on my own personal Twitter, but back from September 15th, I said to you pretty straightforward. I love me a straightforward trade setup. I also love a gap wider than Michael Strahan's teeth on a daily chart. A Giant fan, I can say that. But that's just where I'll tell you, at least. We've been talking about this for a little while now. So if you wanted to follow along, if you're on social media, just add us on social at Cyber Trading U on X, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, even. But otherwise, if you wanted to join us directly inside our live trading room, I see Thomas here, John, Sam, Shaffin, Debbie, Nabil, Sam, all of us just joining us right now. Just go right down to the link scrolling down on the bottom below, ctu.co/trial. But otherwise, if you want to scan that QR code, you could do so right there. Join us for a week-long trial for $9. Scan that QR code with your phone, with your camera right there. Before we finish up, folks, we'll do a lightning round. Lightning rounds here briefly. So, Shaffin asking about this stock, NFE. Yeah, that's right. This has been a fun stock from maybe like a few days ago. Called it out just as a day trade. I think maybe at the time we were thinking about the gap fill here, but held up pretty well. And this morning it just exploded. I mean, this just took off pretty much, well, not instantly. It took about 30 minutes, but once it popped, there wasn't really much looking back. Shaffin, this is a great stock to focus on because it's up a lot. You got a great order book though. This is not going to open up. The spread on this stock should not open, which means that's a really good thing. So at least this is what we would really like. This is the model type of stock that we would want to focus on. But again, though, I just mentioned it for as nice as the stock is. It's great shout from Shaffin here. Every stock or not every stock will go up perfectly forever. So this has moved up already so nicely. We'll see if there's more for this afternoon. But don't be surprised if this makes a little pullback. Maybe it pulls back towards the resistance it broke out from here, right? And then makes the bounce later on. So definitely a good shout. We'll come back to this later on, Shaffin. Absolutely. From Sam asking, you said Bitcoin may drop due to lack of support. How is Bitcoin matching with your money supply chart now? Say that because I might have to move something around here. Pull this up here, Sam. Give me a moment here. I'll try and get this open for you again. Had it here the whole time. There you go. Cool. This will be easier than I thought, Sam. There we go. So the M2 global money supply, give me a second here because now I got a few things blocking this here, actually. There we go. So you happen to see that this is where we were focused on the M2 global money supply. We were pointing this out back in late Feb, early March, looking for the squeeze back up. Got the squeeze back up beautifully. However, though, there's obviously been some points where the money flow moved up where Bitcoin pulled back right here. See how the money flow shot up. So it's not perfect in terms of its correlation. And with that, I haven't really been using this as much. When you happen to see pretty big fall offs in the money flow, or not money flow, not money flow. When you have pretty big fall offs in the M2 global money supply, that's where oftentimes you could expect Bitcoin itself to pull back a lot. So we'll at least see going into mid October, into mid November, if there's any sort of larger shakedown here, because that's kind of what the M2 is pointing towards here, isn't it? October, November time. That could very well align with my thought of Bitcoin dropping below 100K. All right, folks. So, hey, we are going to wrap up at least for the time being. If you're a member here inside our live trading room, this is not your last audio broadcast for this afternoon. We're going to be back here at 2:30 p.m. Eastern for all of us. But let me ask, who here is a silver level student or above? If you are a silver level CTU student or higher, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, let me know here in the chat. Day, Jeff, Tim, Thomas, Bill, Debbie, Lynn, and Randy, John, a lot of us here at least. Ray, great to see you here. I saw a separate Ray actually from Sydney, Australia. But that was not you. Great to have you here though, Ray, Chuck, Mike, Alan, Lee, Sam, John, Jeff, all of us here. That'll be at 3:05 p.m. Eastern time today, folks. Our next, class, our next paid course will be at 3 p.m. Eastern later today. As a trial member, that's something that you don't have access to yet. Right now, inside our live trading room, we just want you to see if this is for you or not. Is this style of trading for you? Is this somewhat easy to understand? Because if it's somewhat easy to understand now, my belief is that it's going to be very easy to understand after a couple of weeks inside our classes. So hope that you see the possibility in all of this in terms of what we do in the mornings and what we do in the afternoons later on today. But otherwise, if you wanted to learn more about what we offer with our classes, our private coaching, just give a call to our office or talk to your education advisor here. They're the intermediary between you and Fausto, you and myself, and we're all able to help you out here all together. But otherwise, you got to be a student in order to fully comprehend and understand what we're talking about here. So definitely, make sure that you talk to your education advisor if you're looking to learn more about our program. But again, we'll be back later on today, folks, later on this afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Eastern here. Then we'll be back in class later on at 3 o'clock. All right, folks, I'll talk to you then. Take care.